This is just a short quiz. You know, let's put this little PowerPoint presentation together. I worked on it a little bit at home. Okay, this is going to start out pretty easy. So somebody call it and tell me what's going on with that tire.
Overinflation.
Overinflation. What else can cause this besides overinflation? Believe it or not, there is something besides overinflation that can cause it.
Towing?
Hmm?
Something to do with towing?
Could it be, yeah, because you're towed, because it'd be dragging or something?
What about, and he would know about this, what else? Tell me about this. What else besides overinflation can cause a tire to wear out like that?
Camera or a camera?
No, I mean, it's worn out in the middle.
Does it have something to do with the road?
It has something to do with high-speed driving, like 100 miles an hour, a long way.
John knows all about that.
Yeah, well, he does that a lot, okay. All right, so
Like from here to the.
it can, high-speed driving can make them wear out in the middle like that, because think about it, it's slinging it out, you know? You know what I'm saying? And also, whenever you're driving, what's going on? You got air going under the car, you got air going over the top, it's like an airplane's wing, and the car gets lighter because of the atmosphere. You know, let me pick it up a little bit.
I put less air in my tires. You ever have
Okay, too much pressure, center of the tires carrying load. What do you got to say about this one here?
Underinflation.
Underinflation. See, I told you it's going to start out pretty easy, right? All right. Not enough pressure outside the tires carrying load. Okay. This is a tread bar. Okay, the first two were easy, but what about this one here?
It's an old tire.
Huh?
It's an old tire.
Hitting the right side down more than the left side.
That one there is not really a great representation of what we're talking about here. But if you drag your fingertips across the tread and you get a feather edge on the inside of the tread bars, you got too much toe in. If it's on the outside of the tread bar, you got too much toe out. So toe out's going to drag it down the road this way, toe in's going to drag it down the road that way. And so you can tell by the feather. I will tell you this though, if you've been doing some of these alignments out there, and you guys have done enough alignments where a lot of the times you can eyeball that front tire with the back one, especially if it's a rear wheel drive, and you can tell just by looking at the tire with your naked eye if it's towed in or out or it's got camber, you know what I mean? You sort of get to where you understand that. This one guy that has a tire store told me that the biggest problem he's got whenever he's got people doing alignments is they learn how to make the numbers right on the machine, but they have no concept of what they're actually doing, you know, to make to line the thing up. All right, so toe angle is changed as caster and camber angles change too, so you adjust it last. So if you set your toe first, that's like, I used to get grumbled at when I first started working on cars, I'd always start adjusting the carburetor and the engine would be a little cold and the choke would be part of the way shut. And I'd get fussed at about that because I was in a hurry to get things done, you know. But begin with the rear wheels with doing an alignment. Suspension height changes. You know, one of the reasons that they're replacing the spindles on this Chevrolet truck out there along with all that other stuff they're putting on there is because they changed the suspension height enough when he put the lift kit on to where he wound up with a stupid, you know. But what about weak springs? Weak springs will cause it to squat down, right? See what I'm saying? It's going to change. All those angles are going to change. All right. So, what can cause this, and what is it called? Can you see good enough to see what's going on there?
Looks like it's out of bounds.
What do you seeing that's pointing you in that direction?
Looks like it's kind of wavy.
Yeah, that's a good call. Scalloping is what you call that. Right there. You know, basically, we can talk a little bit more about that.
Isn't that what you showed us on that car the other day before we left?
Yep.
What is it from? Being out of bounds?
Well, you have suspension parts, worn out shocks, which is likely on an old car. Unbalanced tires, which causes a different kind of wear that's similar, but it may not be the same all the way around the tire. There's also, sometimes you'll see a flat spot on one place on the tire where somebody had to lock it up, you know, and slide. But this is most commonly caused by a failure to rotate the tires regularly. Now, who remembers, I mean, y'all remember working on this 2014 Honda? that sounded terrible driving down the road. She says they rotated my tires and at Walmart, and it started sounding like a tractor. Well, that wasn't Walmart's fault. She went too long without rotating the tires, and this started happening because it kind of naturally happens in the rear. You know what I'm saying? And so when you moved them to the front, this was a lot louder than it would have been if you rotate them. You're really supposed to rotate the tires every time you change the oil. Now you can't rotate them front to back on this yellow Chrysler Crossfire out here. Why do you suppose that is? Why would you not be able to rotate them front to back on a car?
What's the look pattern's different?
No, it's the same look pattern. The back tires are bigger than the front ones.
Wider.
Yeah, bigger, taller, different size tires. Here's something else. She came in one day on that car and she says, my rear tire is low, and can I get one of you guys to put some air in it? Now these are extremely low profile tires. If you look at them, you don't see but this much tire between the rim and the ground. And it was really low, and she'd been driving it all the way from Elba or somewhere. And so one of my guys started putting air in it, and about the time he came close to the air pressure what it was supposed to be, the sidewall blew out. Boom! Good thing he's wearing safety glasses. The simple fact was, one of those tires with these really low profiles, if they've been driving it almost flat, be prepared for it to blow out when you air it up. So if somebody says, can you air up my tire, and it's a really low profile tire, and well, this is a really low profile tire, it's probably cut those cords with you driving it low. It may blow out if I air it up. Are you okay with that? Even putting the normal amount of air in it, and that was what that one did. She had to get a set of tires.
You know that tire we put on the other day for out there on the tire machine?
Yeah.
My buddy, there's a spare tire. Well, when I got it to him, it went flat, leaked down for some reason, and it wasn't leaking up here. Well, he tried to put some air in it, and a piece about this wide, the sidewall blew up, and he had it in between his legs, and it left blood bush from the side.
Yeah. This one here is likely to be a little harder. What do you see there?
Just wore off on one side.
If caster, camber, and toe are all positive, it can lead to the wear on the outer edge of the tire. Now they all got to be positive. Caster right by itself won't typically cause any problems like that. Although, if the caster is enough in one direction or another, it can cause them to shimmy sometimes. And if they shimmy enough, it can cause tire wear. Edge wear on only one front wheel. Look for thrust and or setback issues. Okay, somebody tell me what thrust is. What's thrust? We've talked about it here before.
Like straight down the middle.
That's right. If the axle's crooked under the car, it'll be dog tracking. That's the thrust. And setback is the wheelbase on the one side of the car is slightly less than the other because of the way the caster is set, right? And or because of the design. Anyway, lots of slow parking lot driving and cornering like on a security guard's truck. Like you'll see sometimes on the truck Gene and them drive, because they go around these corners in the parking lot a lot going real slow. They wear the front tires out on them things, something awful. It's pushing, you know, when the truck's turning and it's trying to, have you ever been pushing a car trying to get into the shop, and when the guy turns the wheel real sharp, it gets hard to push? I mean, you know, you're pushing, energy needs to be a lot higher than that, because whenever you're pushing against them and they're turning, you're gonna be trying to wear them off. If you coon dog it around corners, that'll cause it a lot too. You know what I'm saying? All right. Inner edge tire tread wear. Negative co and camber usually cause that. I want you to burn this stuff in. Sometimes I can ask questions that I feel like you should have already absorbed, and everybody is sitting there looking like the little koala bear, you know. You know that little koala bear picture I had, the look on your face when the car you worked in yesterday comes in on the hook. Did you ever see that? All right. All right. Check the bushings and springs. What about you?
I need to borrow it for 10 seconds, y'all.
All right. Y'all look at that picture and enjoy it while I'm gone. I'll be right back.
Ooh, a tire. The tire I want to put on video.
You would?
You know that.
Oh, of course, got some tread left on it.
Floater.
I've ran
Yeah, I had
those.
the whole.
The shot hot on the side of the shell line. Machine store?
I went there and talked to him this morning about $1,000 a month.
What does it need?
So what?
And he said it's got,
What's in our
It's
tank?
got 3 lifts
Boy, that was a real worthwhile interruption, and I'm not kidding. All right, check the bushings and springs, ask about frequent heavy, what would frequent heavy loads got to have to do with this?
in it. He hauls.
more pressure on the tire.
Look at that truck.
I was gonna say, it looks like Jonathan's truck.
Yeah, that's a Jonathan Price truck, that's what it is, you know. If I can get it on there, I can haul it, that's Jonathan, right? Okay.
Not tied down.
Yeah.
How many times you load something really, really heavy in the back of your truck and you're driving it, it feels like the front's just floating, you know what I'm saying? But that's gonna affect your alignment, right? When rubber bushing, shocks and everything else dies, angles can change because of that too. All right, so what are the causes? A, B, C, and D.
Hey,
That'll be,
What's A?
Negative camber?
Well, yeah. It depends on whether this tire is on the left or the right, but you've got a good point there.
B.
If it's wearing, it's a cone-shaped tire, it's a cone-shaped tire because it's been wearing more on one side than the other. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what they're trying to do here with that. And a cone-shaped tire is gonna pull too.
B's over inflation.
Yeah, and C is under inflation. Well, what about that one there?
That's out of balance or where somebody slammed on brakes and skidding tires.
Failed strut or shock. They call it bouncing, you know, because of the shock. The shock's supposed to dampen all that kind of stuff, and if it's going on there, if it gets started doing that, you know. All right, what's the likely cause of that?
Positive camber?
Looks like positive camera to me, and also you can have a tow issue with that one too, you know. All right, now we're gonna pause for a tech tip on a 2000 Honda Odyssey that drifts to the right. First thing you're supposed to do is inspect the tires for uneven or abnormal tire wear. Everybody knows that. Set the tire pressure to 35 PSI cold. Test driving at 55 on a road with very little crown. Flattest roads you can find. Use a stopwatch to determine how long the vehicle takes to make a complete lane change. If you just let go of the wheel, right? If it takes 6 seconds or more to change lanes, the drift is normal. Look at that. Return the vehicle to the customer and explain the drift is normal. Use information. If the vehicle takes less than 6 seconds to change lanes, go to the repair procedure. What you do here, raise it on a hoist and look at the front suspension for any damage, worn parts, whatever. If there's suspension damage, put damaged parts on it, align it. If there's no suspension damage, you're going to go to step 2. Swap the front tires from side to side and test drive it, like as you did in the diagnosis section. If it takes 6 seconds or more to change lanes, the drift is normal. In other words, if it moves really, really, really slow, that's not a big deal. Return the vehicle to the customer. Some people want it to let off the wheel and it goes straight down the road no matter what's going on, you know. If swapping tires didn't have an effect, it's time to go to step 3. So you're going to loosen your 4 subframe mounting bolts and the 6 bracket mounting bolt. On the right side of the subframe, you insert a long pry bar between the subframe and the body. Shift the right side of the subframe forward. If it's already forward, go to step 5. And you see the hole in the body. Now, you're going to see these like on Ford Tauruses. There's a hole up in there and there's a hole here. You're supposed to line those up really well when you put that cradle back under there. And that's going to prevent you. Why will that have anything to do with the alignment, by the way?
Because it's the whole front end of the car.
Yeah, you got the lower control arms connected to that, right? And so you can see how that's going to change the dynamics of the alignment. All right. Come on, man. Check the alignment. Left and right casters should now be equal or more positive to the right side. Left and right camber should be equal. Total toe should be 0 to 2 millimeter. The vehicle is going to pull to the side that has more positive camber, more negative caster. So you test drive the vehicle and verify the drift is gone. Think about it, if the wheel's leaning out and the caster is back like this and you're going that way, it's going to pull in that direction. You know, even if it's in the green, if it's over on that end of the green, you're going to have issues with that. And, all right. What about feathering from front to rear? What causes that? Let me know.
Either the rear of it's feather
Yeah, feathering from front to rear.
on the back of the car.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it could be the back of the car.
Well, it could be walking, you know, riding sideways down the side of the road.
High speed, heavy shoulder wear, feathered tread from front to rear can be caused by hard driving. And that's not just talking about speed necessarily. Anti-sway bar, end link, springs for wear, a performance tire. Notice this tire, what do you notice about the tread on this tire that's different from most tires?
It's only, it can only be put on one way, can't it?
It's a directional tire, right? Like a tractor tire. You ever seen a tractor that they put one of the tires on backwards?
And
I
pants.
didn't see
It spins down. When you try to pull something with a tractor tire that's got the lug to pointing, where they're hitting the ground, they need to be pointing back. If they're pointing forward, that thing will shovel dirt out of there and go all the way to the axles.
Oh, that, and it like, they hop going down the road too.
Yeah, terrible. All right, so anyway, that's a performance of a directional tire. And by the way, this right here is the way it needs to roll. Like that, got it? So pay attention to that if you're rotating tires. You don't need to put this one on the other side of the car if you've got directional tires. Some of them will just have directional tread on one side of the tire, and they'll have a, you know, it looks like two different tires have been put together to make one. All right. What about this one here?
That's directional tire too.
Yeah, see, that's what I was, but this one right here has actually got a little scalloping going on. So, worn shock absorber, unbalanced tire, brake rotors, believe it or not, can cause it in extreme circumstances. But a cupping would be more of a concentric pattern, you know. So you run your hand on the face of the tire. You may want to make sure you don't have steel cord showing. You ever reach up under there to feel the tire and find steel belts?
Yep.
That's not good. I mean, I got 2 yeps right away. And you don't forget this when it has happened, right?
Yeah, because you usually stick your finger in them.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have to see it. My friend's car ran down to the, I mean, you could see the beads sticking out of it.
Yeah, well, you would have remembered it more if you'd have got your hand in it and went, ah! It looked like a bunch of needles. All right, if the tire's flat, let's see, if the tire's flat, then good. If it has small waves like on the C, you know, flat, good, good. Like you're running along, so, ooh, good, flat, good, flat, good, flat. That's what I'm talking about there. Shoulder wear. Usually the result of low pressure can be due to overload of the vehicle, use of undersized tires. See all the stuff that can cause that? Toe wear results when the tire is not aligned parallel to the center line of the vehicle. Now wait a minute, what about undersized tires? How come undersized tires would cause what we were just talking about a minute ago?
No, that was the wear mark. That little black piece.
Undersized, how?
Think about it. What if just one tire was undersized? I mean, you might have issues, all kinds of stuff going on there. All right, let's just, we're not gonna get too deep into this, but we're getting deeper than most people probably want to, because you get tired of talking about tires after a while. Since toe can cause rapid wear, it's considered the most important alignment angle. You'll wear a tire out if you got bad toe really, really fast. And then so you wind up with a sawtooth pattern of wear across the tread surface. Here's another look at camber wear. See how it's wearing on this one side? And that's also, once again, usually though, I'll tell you, whenever you've been driving in the parking lot slow, like I was talking about, it'll be more rounded. You know what I mean, than that, but that one there is definitely still worn out. You seen them tires on them trucks that y'all drive, how the front tires are just balled off, you know, because they've been scratching around there. If you watch somebody go by slow and turn in sharp, you can see it happen. Here's something else most people don't usually think about is if it's a good idea whenever you can to not turn your wheels with the car sitting still. You can do it, but it really puts a lot of strain on the parts. When did the Cadillac pitman arm break? In the parking lot. And you know how heavy that car is? And how we were trying to turn the wheels by hand so we could bring it into the shop and they weren't moving. I mean, on a lot of cars, you can, in pickups and stuff, you can turn the wheels, just muscle them. But that 8.2 liter engine was serious heaviness in addition to everything else that car got sitting on there. Camber wear can be caused by weak, broken, or incorrect springs. So if your camber, like I say, if you got weak springs, you're liable to have issues because of that. And sometimes when you're doing an alignment, particularly if you've got shims where you're setting your camber and caster, sometimes you'll get to the point where you can't move it anymore. They have to put different springs on. If you've got torsion bars, you can adjust them, strengthen them up. All right, so A motorcycle's front forks point forward at the bottom and slope backward at the top. That's a good example of positive caster. Makes the motorcycle more stable when you're riding straight ahead. You can get a caster off of the bottom of a swivel chair, and if you tilt it back and make it a positive caster, it'll go in a straight line with almost no problem at all. But if you go up straight, it's like a dadgum shopping cart wheel. You know how they do all that kind of stuff? So think about it. How'd you like to ride a motorcycle that had this just straight? Drive you up the wall. You know?
Yeah, bumpy ride.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. Caster angle sensor and the balancing of steering effort. Stability and high speeds, that gives you positive, caster gives you that. It provides for better cornering too. Have you noticed how when somebody pulls up and turns, their tire will be leaning? Looks like there's something bad off with the alignment. Whenever somebody pulls up and stops, the tire's leaning. You know, that's part of what caster does. You know?
How come on like a truck without power steering, it always sees the inside out just a little bit?
Well, you got your, without power steering, your caster angles are different. When you ain't got power steering, the caster angles are closer this way. And that's probably, it's gonna have an effect on that, because it makes it easier to steer if your caster angle is more vertical. If you don't have power steering, you need that, you know what I mean? But anyway, the vehicle will naturally wanna go straight, because whenever you got your caster set positive and you turn the wheel, it actually picks the car up a little bit. And the low point's right in the middle. So it always wants to go back to, you know how when you let off your car, kind of wants to go back to the middle? You don't have to force it to go back, you know? All right, almost like having more negative camber, you know, steer will increase. And we're almost through here. The downside, positive caster, if the vehicle doesn't have power steering, a noticeable increase in steering effort will be felt. As positive casters increase, the more you go, the harder it is to steer. The effects of positive caster are pretty much positive. It's actually when increasing the lean of the tire, when the vehicle is cornering while returning it to a more upright position when it's driving straight ahead. Going around a corner, you want your tires to lean to help you go into that curve. See, that's the thing on that. So, note, check the air pressure first. If you're doing anything, note the age and condition of the tires. Look for suspension or steering component damage and an obvious ride height issues. And that's all for today, except get back out in the shop and get to work. We're not through with everything else, just in here, okay?